This is John Cole with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and we're using the wireless mic, so you got like a nice overview shot of half of my garden pretty much. I mean, you got some of the beds are out of the view, but you guys can see kind of what I'm doing here. In this side of the backyard, I got these 4-foot round circular beds, and I got all kinds of stuff growing. And I was just out in the garden the other day with my roommate, and she's talking, John, why don't you make a video about like all the plants that don't get bugs? Because she's kind of lazy. She doesn't like washing off bugs, and I'm kind of lax on spraying stuff sometimes. You know, I mean, I do it when I can, but I don't really just like to spray stuff unless I really have to. And plus, I got a million things to do, so I don't always get around to spraying stuff. But I do the best I can. So in this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to show you guys the desert crops that I'm currently growing, that grow in the desert here in the springtime, we're coming out of winter, that basically don't get any bugs or get very little bugs, or at least bugs that she doesn't notice, because almost everything will get something, and I know this because I'm out here every day. But for her, she could come out and she's like, oh, that doesn't have any bugs, and like some plants are just less effective with bugs. So if you want an easy bug-free garden, these are some of the plants you're going to want to grow. On this side of my garden, I could share with you guys two more plants that rarely get any pests. It's the Dandelions here, which is a wild food, and wild foods and weedy type foods like the stinging nettle, like the dandelion. You know, actually I could also probably get into the mallow. Well, that probably gets a little bit bugged sometimes. But you know, wild weed foods, and no, not cannabis, weeds that grow in lawns and whatnot. Oh, I got a Goji Berry ripening, that's cool. They're also very resilient to pests because they have to be, because they're grown in nature. And if they didn't have a defense mechanism and have different plant metabolites that deter pests, you know, they wouldn't be so successful, right? And so yeah, grow some of those and eat them too. I love to eat my dandelion roots as well as the greens. And over on this side, in this climate here, my Swiss chard is rarely affected by any pests. You know, my kale will get aphids. My Swiss chard doesn't pretty much get aphids. Although depending on your climate, you know, I have gotten these little worm things inside, leaf finders inside some of my cabbage and spinach type plants, but I don't get that here. Occasionally it'll get some white powdery mildew, but that you could spray on. But you know, if you see that, the really bad leaves, I'll compost them. And then if they're not that bad, I'll harvest them, just wash them off, and I'll eat them, because you can't get a disease from a plant. So some other plants that rarely get pests in my garden are these guys right here. I have a whole bed planted out of parsley, which is really a good detoxifier for you guys. And also next door we got the celery, which is actually got some nice stalks on it. I've been basically harvesting heads of celery lately because it's actually starting to go to flower and set seed. So I'd rather eat my celery than have it go and set a lot of seed. But these guys also rarely get pest infestation like some of the other plants that I'm growing. So some other plants that don't get pests in my garden are herbs. And I want you guys to not only grow your herbs, but use them on a regular and consistent basis. They're shown to be very high in antioxidants, plus they add flavor and more deliciousness to your food. So I have things like the sage way over on that side. You guys can see the purple flowers coming in right now, attracting a lot of bees. Down over here in this area, I got bee balm growing on. And then over on this side, we got my rosemary that's like super huge. I mean, I got that as like a little 4-inch pot. And this, I have like rosemary for days now. I don't even know if I could eat all that rosemary. But yeah, many herbs have plant essential oils, and it's these essential oils are plant metabolites. The plant makes these essential oils so that it can defend itself from pests in nature. And as a benefit, when we eat some of these plant essential oils, we get some of the benefits of them as well. And some of these plants, you know, you could just crush up leaves and rub it on you to deter certain pests, right? Let's go ahead and cover a few more herbs before we go. So in this raised bed, which is pretty much a perennial style raised bed, I have annual beds that I just keep flipping every season, and then I have perennial beds that kind of just stay whatever they are, and then when something, you know, moves on, I plant something else in its place that'll stay all like perennial, like multi-year, versus an annual crop that I keep having to replace every season. So in this bed on the bottom, I got all this amazing curly leaf parsley, which I like actually better than growing the flat leaf. This stuff's not bolting, my flat leaf is. And then also I have things like the oregano down over here, that's just a really nice bush. Oh, also my red vein sorrel, another one, rarely gets any bugs. And I got some fennel over here that actually I've never really seen bugs on it. Oh, and I got some rue. Yeah, it's like rue on Winnie the Pooh. But no, I got the rue here, and actually it's going to flower for the first time. So that's a new one on me. It rarely gets pests as well. So yeah, grow some herbs for a pest-free garden. The next crop I want to show you guys that are pretty resistant to pests are what I have growing around the borders here. And it's cilantro is around the borders, and I planted cilantro in here along with my zucchinis. Soon enough, my zucchinis will get huge and shade out all the cilantro, which is a good thing because pretty soon it's also going to get too hot and my cilantro is going to want to bolt. And by the time the zucchinis get big enough to shade everything out and the cilantro is just underneath, it's probably time to be harvesting all my cilantro and using it by then anyways, because it's going to go to seed, and then I guess I'll have coriander. So yeah, cilantro rarely gets any pests, as does, you know, down in here hidden. Back here, you guys probably can't see it all the way back in there. It's actually another one known as Popolo. Popolo is, you know, pretty much what they used to use in Mexico before they had cilantro. So it has a similar but different flavor, which actually I prefer better. Cilantro is good for the cold weather or cooler weather, like spring. When it gets too hot, the cilantro will bolt really fast. So then you might want to grow Popolo for using in your guacamoles and or culantro. That has also a similar, very similar flavor to cilantro, and also probably gets less pests. So another bed that's pretty much pest resistant in my garden this time of year, well, I mean, I got the celery here in the middle. I like to do a lot of companion planting. And then around the bottom, you guys are seeing all these green leaves. All these green leaves are actually heirloom sugar beets. So this is the beets that they use to make like white refined sugar out of that are GMO, but these are heirloom non-GMO beets that are used to make sugar, so they should have a very high sugar content. So I'm really excited to maybe juice them and then maybe dehydrate them and see what I get. But also the beet greens are quite edible. They're actually quite good and very resistant to pests. And in addition, in between the beets, I planted when they were young leeks. So we got beets and leeks. Hey, that rhymes. I didn't know I was a poet and didn't know it in the same garden bed. But yeah, the leeks also, you know, they are in the allium family of plants, as are the shallots, and also quite pest resistant. So any video showing pest resistant plants should also, in my opinion, contain this plant. This is mint. Somehow it just came up in this bed and I decided just to let it grow for a little bit until I want to use it for something else. And I've also basically companion planted in between the mint. I pulled up some of the mint, and right here I planted cucumber, and there's a cucumber over here, and it's going to go up this trellis behind. And when the cucumbers get big, I might pull back some of the mint, but the mint right now is acting as a ground cover, conserving moisture, also providing me with delicious mint to use in my smoothies, which I like a lot. I have other plantings of mint around my garden as well, but this one's doing the best right now, so I'm growing with it, right? And yeah, mint also has essential oils that we like a lot, and there's many different varieties of mint besides this kind of mint. There's also things like the cat mint or the catnip, right, that I have in another part of my garden. But yeah, grow some mint. I mean, the main point of this video is to not be discouraged about pests. If you don't want to deal with them, want to have a pretty much more maintenance-free garden where you don't have to like inspect stuff and spray stuff, grow some of the plants that I've shown in here, right? That's the easiest thing to do. And if you want to maybe have a little more challenges, hey, you know, grow some kale or lettuces, you know, in the winter season, and in the summer season, you know, grow things like peppers and tomatoes and cucumbers, right? They'll get very little pests, but also, of course, it depends on your area, what you live, and, you know, what kind of pests you may be bringing in on some of those plant starts. I think that's how I got a majority of the pests here. I brought them in on plant starts. So if I would have started everything from seed from the get-go, I probably have very little pests at this point. But in any case, I want to let you guys know there's always a way to grow some food today. And this is yet another way. Beets and leeks. So if you guys enjoyed this short format video, hey, please give me a thumbs up to let me know. That'll motivate me to do some more short videos instead of having them all like 45 minutes in an hour. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below and share this with somebody you think could benefit from, growing plants that rarely get affected by pests. And be sure to check my past episodes. I have over 1,100 episodes now. Teach you guys all aspects so you guys could grow your own food, pest-free food sometimes, at home, so you guys could eat more food out of your backyard farm or front yard instead of the grocery store. So you could be a producer instead of a consumer in our consumerism society. So once again, my name is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep on growing. All right, this is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you, and today I'm out in the backyard garden. As you guys can see, things are growing really great. My lettuce, I got to ramp up the harvest.